Hello, everybody. I'm on the roof. The roof of Granada! Yes! Oh, Lord. I'll not look down. I've got a full English.
Granada Studios has dominated the Manchester skyline for the past 57 years.
Hello and welcome to Stars in the Rise.
Here's your first starter for 10.
Hey, Elsie. Just about ready for the knacker yard.
Its programmes have travelled across the world, beacons of great British television.
Granada made some of the greatest shows that ITV ever put on.
Granada, pure quality.
It was just mesmerising. I loved every minute of it.
For me, it was the most extraordinary experience.
A bit of acting now, what's this?
I doubt that I would have had the career I've had it not been for Granada.
Granada Television created me in many ways.
It was the UK's first ever television complex and home to some of the greatest TV shows of all time. But after more than 5 decades, it's goodbye Granadaland as the building shuts up shop and ITV moves to its new home in Salford's Media City. So it's time to switch off the lights and settle down with Granada's biggest fan.
I'm Peter Kay, and tonight on ITV, I'm going to be saying goodbye to Granadaland! See, I can see Blackpool Tower. Do we get 10p? Or is it a pylon? I'm at the top of Granada Television. I've never been up here before, and I must have driven past it thousands and thousands of times over the years. There's a famous picture, well, I say famous, it's famous in our house. There's a picture of me and our Julie which she'll be really embarrassed about, where we're stood outside on the grass, and that was really exciting, because that was as close as you could get to Hollywood.
It did look pretty wonderful.
Seeing Granada's building for the first time was just incredible to me. Oh, it was huge. It was colossal.
Well, it's absolutely a landmark building. Yeah, oh, it's brilliant. I loved it.
Almost as famous as its shows, the red Granada sign shone out across the north, a symbol to all who saw it of the magic produced inside.
It was literally iconic because whenever you came into Manchester, that's what you saw.
We used to get so terribly excited because you'd drive down Quay Street and you'd see this Granada sign. It was brilliant.
It's an iconic building and it's an iconic place to work, and it's part of TV history, isn't it?
I thought it was really ugly, actually. Oh. Everybody says it was an iconic building. I thought it looked like a jerry-built comprehensive school. Oh. And I thought that the red neon sign on the top I thought was garish. However, when I got into the building, I got it straight away. It just buzzed.
There are the Coronation Street studios in there, and there's Coronation Street, which looks tiny down there. It's a bit like the factory on Willy Wonka, isn't it? It's exactly what it is. Although people do come in and out, but nobody knows what goes on inside. But then they shouldn't know, should they? Because that's television. You shouldn't really know about the smoke and mirrors. We don't want to shine daylight upon magic, although we will today.
Granada Television was founded in 1954 by entertainment moguls Sidney and Cecil Bernstein to make programmes for the north of England for independent television.
They still want the best. What's good enough for London will be good enough for the north. They want something in addition. I think that what Manchester sees today, London will see eventually.
Named after the Bernsteins' favourite resort of Granada in sunny Spain, ironically it was built on an old bomb site in the heart of Manchester. But why choose this place above all others? It all came down to the glorious Mancunian weather.
The Bernsteins looked at the annual rainfall and said, where does it rain the most in England? And they said, Manchester. They said, right, we'll build a TV company there. And they said, why? I said, well, when it rains, people stay in and watch telly. Genius.
15 seconds to net time.
Granada went live on the 3rd of May, 1956.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
And suddenly Manchester was the place to be, with the world's talents flocking to the new Granada Studios.
Thank you. This is really, for me, one of my rare appearances.
The building was a magnet, attracting the biggest and best names of the day, but it was also making stars of some homegrown talent too.
I got a call one day out of the blue from a guy I met called Barry Head, and he said to me, have you thought about television? I said, no, not really. And he said, well, I'd like to make an offer. I said, what's that? He said, well, I'd like to come and produce a nightly show in Manchester. I said, Barry, I know nothing about television. And he said, we don't either.
As we say in Granadaland, no star, good night.
My very first experience of being at Granada Television was for very small sort of things. I didn't care. I was in.
You think I'm common, don't you?
Everybody who came up became famous. I mean, everybody made their debut there.
But supposing you have the ideal situation where you have enough money, you can do just what the hell you like, what would you do?
I don't know. I think I'd try and write songs and just produce records and things.
And the man behind this talent was young entertainment producer Johnny Hamp, who shook up people's tellies in the north with regional tea time show Seen at 6:30.
I used to bring an act in every night for Seen at 6:30, and it was live. Every night was live.
Ahead of the game, Johnny took a punt on 4 chances from Liverpool.
I'd seen the Beatles working in Hamburg, but of course they hadn't made a record by that time. They were just another group. So I brought them in the first week of Seen at 6:30.
Well, shake it up, baby, now. Shake it up, baby. Twist and shout. Twist and shout. Come on, come on, come on, come on, baby, now. Come on, baby. Come on and work it on out.
The Beatles were our resident group, for God's sake. John Lennon said to me, he said, next week we're going to London to make a record.
Now let me hold your hand. I wanna hold your hand.
Paul McCartney's mum asked me for my autograph. I've never recovered from that. I really haven't. Could you imagine?
Seen at 6:30 ran daily until 1966, and during their final appearance on the show, the Fab Four brought Beatlemania with them.
Sometimes we'd take the cameras from Studio 4 out through the scene dock into the car park. I hadn't realised at that time how sensational they'd become.
1 month after this rare footage was shot at Granada, the lads conquered America and their lives changed forever.
It would be about here that Ringo's restaurant was set up. What happened was thousands of fans came over the top and just swamped the place.
Just listen to those screams.
So we had to rescue and dash the boys back in there.
You know you got me going now.
There were 5,000 kids charging through Manchester, chasing their taxi, and that was a sign of what was to follow.
Over 3 decades, Johnny Hamp put the biggest names on screen, but in the 80s, he put himself in the picture and introduced the North to another breaking talent.
She's 14, still at school. Meet Lisa Stansfield.
One day I'll fly away. Leave your love to yesterday.
Oh my God, I can't believe it. It's incredible.
Your love do for me. When will love be through?
Lisa went on to be one of the most successful British female artists of the 90s, selling more than 20 million records worldwide.
I think if it hadn't have ever been for Johnny Hamp, I wouldn't be sitting here now.
First time ever on television, Deborah Harry and Blondie.
After establishing itself as the home for new musical talent, Maverick News reporter Tony Wilson took on the mantle of bringing music to the masses.
Sex Pistols, you can hear them warming up in the background even now.
Tony Wilson became the self-proclaimed Mr. Manchester, fronting edgy Northwest music programmes So It Goes, What's On and The Other Side of Midnight. The 90s rave scene started right here.
That was the ambition, to get on one of Tony's shows. We even recreated a sort of acid house rave in this building. Yeah, people was probably off their heads. Yeah. That's why I can't remember too much of it.
Few car parks can boast appearances from 2 world-beating bands, but in the early 90s, these 5 appeared on the tarmac of Granada's parking bays.
This is where Take That did the first ever TV appearance. Not that one they always show at Green Goddess on TVAM. Here, in front of 22 people. Cool Cube, that were a winner.
Fantastic! Well, the crowd loved you. Woo! All right, I suppose first of all we're going to have to let you introduce yourself so we know exactly who you are.
Jason.
Jason.
Mark. Gary. Robbie. Howard.
I don't even think there'd been signs in those days, and they performed in the car park. They all seemed so young and so naive at the time.
Yeah, great actually. Did you all dance beforehand?
I didn't do much dancing, just like local discos and everything, but I did enough to keep up with these lot.
And I remember standing there with the researcher, and there were loads of boy bands at the time. And we sort of stood there with our arms crossed, sort of going, what do you reckon? Nah. They were local lads from Manchester, so they used to come on quite a lot because we didn't have a band, so we'd have to take that.
18 years later, the boys had become men and swapped dancing in the car park for centre stage and the hottest ticket in town.
Tonight this could be the greatest night of our lives. Geraldine McQueen in the audience.
I mean, they're so classy now, and everybody still loves them. You know, they weren't classy then.
As the studios prepare to close their doors, we'll be opening the archives to enjoy its finest moments as Peter Kay says goodbye to Granadaland.
Hi, I'm Peter Kay. Join me on Coronation Street. There's one for your trailer.
Granada is closing its studio doors after 57 years as ITV heads down the River Irwell to its new home in Salford's shiny new media city. But this building has seen it all. The music, the magic, the triumphs, and the tragic.
I love you! Yes!
You felt here, I always thought, you know, part of something.
Like a hotbed of kind of creativity.
The studios in Manchester were fantastic. They were very modern.
They were just like fairyland.
Yeah.
It was just mesmerising.
Granada had an inverse snobbery, which was fantastic.
Here was a company that cared about quality.
There's nothing holds a candle to Granada, really.
Somebody once asked me who took me under their wing when I came to work here, and I can tell you everybody did.
Growing up with the Granada symbol and Granada television as part of your life, every morning, you know, I'd get up and they'd always start Granada with this opening theme music. Dun, 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 dun. But I love that music and come on in the morning. If it were, I remember it the big 6-week holidays because that'd be on, and then Sesame Street for about 2 hours. But I had that taped. I had a tape recorder. He's put it in front of the television. I taped that theme because I loved anything like that. I just love Granada. And now I'm on the roof looking out. Of all the years I've been coming here myself, I've never stood up here and looked at it, and it is vast. It's an enormous plot of land. And that's the bonded warehouse over there. Filmed Amarillo in there.
When the day is dawning on a Texas Sunday morning, how I love
Hey, memories.
every lonely city where I hang my hat.
All it was somebody walking up a hallway. Well, what? I just want you to walk up and smile a bit and wave. And that's funny, is it? And it was lunchtime at Coronation Street, and I remember walking through security and Peter coming out in this ridiculous purple suit, just was surrounded by little people in Bolton outfits, going, "All right, Sally, And I was like, that's something you see every day.
It's just one of them surreal days, but I just remember Sean having like about 6 cans of Skull Super with him, you know, which isn't a bad thing, I suppose.
All I can remember about that was having some sort of disagreement with somebody because I wouldn't have my can of beer in. I was just still on that other planet then. And I must have made myself look right.
Is this the way to Amarillo? Every night I've been hugging my pillow.
All it just points out is how much weight I've put on. Happiness, that's what that is.
Granada's always been a funny old building.
Ladies and gentlemen, Woody Allen.
Even Woody Allen flew in for a rare UK stand-up appearance in 1965.
I'm self-educated myself. I taught myself to type by memorizing the keys of the typewriter. First line is Cordy up. Second line is Astaficatical. The third is Zux Clugnum. But they rarely come up in letter writing.
When I made up Woody Allen, he got awkward and he said, "I'll go on if you marry me." So I said, "Yes, I will marry you." I was awfully relieved that when he came off, he'd forgotten everything about it.
Over the years, Granada's kept us in stitches with sitcoms and sketches. From the 70s slap and tickle of The Lovers...
Oh, Beryl.
Oh, Jeffy Bubbles Bon Bon.
Beryl.
Oh, Jeff.
Oh, Beryl!
What was that squashing? Don't tell me!
To the 80s alternative scene with shows like Alfresco, starring Hugh Laurie and friends. Funny business has always found its way into the building.
I want drugs, forceps, and a sterile and hostile environment.
Splendid, Mrs. Dawson. That's quite the right spirit.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the comedians.
But in the early 70s, one show changed the British comedy landscape. The idea was simple. Take top turns from the working men's clubs, give them a microphone, and let them run riot. Almost overnight, a whole generation of stars were born.
Your Uncle Joe drank a bottle of varnish yesterday and had a horrible death, but a lovely finish.
This fella come to our house, he said, "Do you believe in free speech?" I said, "I do." He said, "Can I use your telephone?"
I used to do the working men's clubs, and during the day I was a pipe fitter welder.
I don't like them Germans, me, do you? They bombed our chip shops.
Everybody had a job before the comedians. I mean, Frank Carson was a plasterer.
Since you've left home, your fella has become a sex maniac and tries to make love to me every opportunity he gets. Please excuse the wobbly writing. That's a bloody cracker.
There was 25 million people watching the show. It was unbelievable. I'm going from a pipe fitter welder, lorry driver, all of a sudden walking down the road and people asking me for my autograph. It never happened when I was a pipe fitter or a welder.
If 70s comedy belonged to the boys, the girls took control in the 80s with the arrival of two very funny women. It was in these studios that the on-screen partnership of Wood and Walters was first ever seen.
Having trouble, are you? Yes, just a little. Music like that's all the same whether you play it wrong or not, isn't it?
It was here they had the freedom to let rip with the characters and sketches that became their trademark.
We only do the popular stars, you know, so what you want? For our Fawcett's? For Anne Shelton?
You got any photos I could look at, get a few ideas?
Yeah. It's my cousin on the big wheel.
At home, the next generation of comedians were taking notes, and when their turn came, Granada welcomed them with open arms. In 1993, The Dead Good Show gave us an early peek at three comedy greats.
I'm Bob, I'm Brian,
and
she's
Beryl.
Yes. And now, Regional Roundup. What's been happening locally, in your own region,
On your own doorstep.
and above all, it's local. What is it? It's local.
To have Caroline, me and Steve on the same show and writing all of it ourselves was just
Julia, welcome to the show. You look beautiful.
Cheers, thanks. Lovely.
Now, Pretty Woman was a huge success. Do you feel it glamorised prostitution?
Not really, no. I mean, I was paid to play a sexy lady. You know, that's what I do, that's what I am. I'm a sexy lady.
There was always a sense here, there was always a very strong backing for comedy.
So if a TV show has made you laugh over the last few decades, chances are the show and its stars came from right here in Granadaland.
But what first, Abby, attracted you to the millionaire Paul Daniels?
Other local talent sneaked onto our screens in some unusual places. This young stud made his first appearance alongside Davina and Claudia Winkleman on raunchy 90s dating show God's Gift.
It's Chopper! You want to see what? It's Chopper! You want to see his Chopper? I promised!
If you want a man who's gentle, caring and understanding, vote for one of these. But if you want to vote for whips, you want to vote for chains, you want to vote for sweat and love bags, vote for Patrick McGuinness.
I don't know what was worse, the long curly hair or I had black silk boxer shorts on. It's a toss-up.
And from one young Bolton lad to another, Granada's put them all on your telly.
I work at a cinema in Bolton.
Yeah. You still do that?
Oh, yeah. That's where the real money is.
Yeah.
Showbiz, you know, 1 minute you're up there making thousands of people laugh, next minute you're picking up toffos.
So as the building prepares to close, we'll celebrate more of its fabulous shows as Peter goes behind the scenes to say sayonara to Granada.
Oh, ho, 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 ho! We're in here. Come on.
38 on 3.
After more than half a century, Granada's famous Manchester studios are closing their doors as ITV moves up the ship canal to Salford's Media City.
36 on 3.
But forget the studios, sets and control rooms. The burning question is, what was the food like?
The Festival Cafe was an amazing place.
The food was out of this world.
They could have prawns, they could have smoked salmon, they could have rib of beef.
You'd have a canteen looking after 1,500, 2,000 people.
We weren't paid all that much, but my God, we were well fed.
I particularly made friends with somebody called Doris Speed. She was Annie Walker, the landlady of the Rover's Return.
It was not just Coronation Street. My God, could that possibly be Laurence Olivier?
You know, it's probably like going for lunch at the Ivy in London.
He sat there having his soup, Richard Harris, and on that side's Matthew Kelly.
It was quite exciting because you'd go, who's in the building? Who's in today?
I saw Vivian Leigh thrown out. She was in a full-length sable coat, and when she went to that door, you could tell how wonderful she would have been as Joan of Arc going to the stake.
So let's go to the epicenter of show business, the place where dreams and chips are made.
This is the hub of Granada. This is the canteen. Say hello. These are canteen clientele. But look, he's brought his own lunch. Don't let him see you. The rest of you to the floor. Look up at this. Isn't that amazing? You can look at that while you're having your dinner. Oh, there's two there. Two curry people there. We'll not let on. We'll give them the privacy. This is Alan. He's a lovely man. There's a lot for charity. A lot of charity, Rick.
An awful lot.
An awful.
As much as you.
Well, I don't like to boast. CBE. It's funny because I would see people and go, ooh. Although they would say that about me. I'd come in here as Brian Potter in my wheelchair. Well, I won't come in a wheelchair because I can walk. Hi. 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 You know what I always used to do? Steal a poppadom. I hope you've washed your hands. You'll be getting this place shut down.
During the 80s, Granada's ambition knew no bounds. Within these studios, anything was possible. From recreating tropical Havana to carefully crafting Victorian London, the scale of their productions had never been seen before. The cameras and crews travelled far and wide, but at the end of the day, all roads led back to the studios.
At that time, you know, you thought of London as being the centre of drama, and to discover what amazing drama was being created in Manchester was very exciting.
Granada led the way in so many ways. We were enjoying a reputation worldwide of having the best television drama available.
And in 1981, one drama changed the face of the small screen forever. Brideshead Revisited.
Well, what a place to live in.
It's where my family live.
Over 2 years in the making, and at a cost of £10 million, Brideshead was a massive gamble. One of the first TV dramas to be shot entirely on location, it was 13 hours of toffs, tears and tragedy, the likes of which had never been seen before.
I thought Brideshead would be a very classy series because it's a classy book, but I thought it would be 5 months of my life.
It took us nearly 2.5 years to complete, and it became a historical piece of television.
We were almost entirely on the road for 2 years. I remember David Plowright, who was then the managing director, sending me a rather plaintive telex saying, "Do you ever intend to return to base?"
Have a motor car outside, a basket of strawberries, and a bottle of Chateau Pelagier, which is not a wine you've ever tasted, so don't pretend. It's heaven with strawberries.
Brideshead went on to become one of the most iconic television series of our time.
Almost from the beginning of its broadcast, it seemed to grip a lot of people.
There was a definite feeling of the streets being empty. Everybody was in front of their television sets.
I mean, there were young men going around with teddy bears. I mean, it became very, very, I don't know, fashionable.
Brideshead was big, but Granada's next project was even bigger.
Tumhara naam kya hai?
What? I'm sorry, I'm afraid I don't speak Indian.
The Jewel in the Crown recreated the final turbulent days of the Raj. They didn't make it easy on themselves, filming all the exteriors in India and all the interiors over 5,000 miles away in Manchester. It was almost as tricky as running the actual empire.
Hello, Barbie.
My first day on the film was filming at the Lake Palace, and I was in the first shot of the whole thing, and the Indian crew said, for good luck, you have to crack a coconut on the lens of the camera, and Ray Good and Christopher Morahan were going, please can we not crack a coconut on the lens? Thanks awfully. Shall we just bless it some other way? And all this ceremony went on.
The jewel in the crown. That's what the picture's called.
After 6 months in the fiery paradise of India, everyone packed up and flew back to the chilly paradise of Manchester.
A lot of the complicated interior work was studio-based in Manchester. So we would walk up to a door outside in India and go and come through it in Manchester.
I mean, there are a couple of scenes where I do walk through the door and immediately expand by about 2 dress sizes.
It's rather Spartan. Nigel asked me to apologise.
Which is very embarrassing, really.
It wasn't a culture shock to come back to Manchester. It was colder, that's for sure.
It was freezing cold. And you can't be in India in the heat and speak and have puffs of steam coming out of your mouth because it's so cold. So the way around that is to suck ice cubes.
Hello, Sarah.
So we were all standing in summer dresses with fake tans on, going, it's warm, it's lovely, this is gorgeous, and sucking ice cubes.
But things were about to heat up when halfway through filming, disaster struck. An electrical fire burnt Jewel in the Crown studio to the ground.
I arrived to find a police cordon, and this policeman saying, and where are you going? And I said, I'm going to work. And he said, no, you're not. Look. And I looked. And where yesterday there had been this vast building, there was nothing. Everything had burnt.
And we mean everything. With only the India footage to refer to, the Granada workshops went into overdrive, recreating all the sets, props and costumes that had been lost.
Irreplaceable things were miraculously replaced, and off we went. What would have been a major disaster for another company was just a hiccup for Granada. Just a bit of a stumbling block we had to get over.
Winning the Best Drama, the Best Actor, and with all 4 leading ladies nominated for Best Actress, Jewel in the Crown dominated the 1985 BAFTAs.
Well, I'm hugely thrilled and proud to have been part of it. It certainly made a big difference to my career, and it was one of the most extraordinary experiences of my life.
I'm inordinately proud of it. It was my break as an actor, and I get very defensive if anybody knocks it.
If it wasn't enough to lead the way with iconic dramas, Granada also had a hotline to some legendary actors. David Plowright was one of the main driving forces behind Granada, and he just happened to be the brother-in-law of Sir Laurence Olivier.
Larry had been very, very, very ill, and David said, come and produce at Granada, and act at Granada and be part of Granada.
His adaptation of King Lear transformed Granada's biggest studio into medieval England, complete with Stonehenge, living oak tree, and a full-scale storm.
Blow winds and crack your cheeks!
A galaxy of stars came out to shine for this epic production. John Hurt, Robert Lindsay, and Dame Diana Rigg all paid homage to the king of stage and screen.
Which of you, shall we say, doth love us most?
Amongst this prestigious cast was a young jobbing actor who had just started out on the street. Corrie's very own Bill Tarming.
Come on, Dolly, who's a little love for a dad than him?
But this was Manchester, and the crowds knew who they wanted to see.
Both of them are coming out of the main entrance. Bill Tarming's coming down, and Laurence Olivier. Laurence Olivier's car's there, and a whole group of fans come rushing over. They didn't go running to him, they went to Bill for his autograph because he's in Coronation Street. And Laurence Olivier turns around to his driver and says, "That's show business."
There have been some groundbreaking series devised and filmed in and around the building. And the biggest game changer of all was the 1991 epic Prime Suspect, which revolutionized the cop show.
DCI Tennyson? And I remember when I got the scripts, because the scripts were like this. I looked, I thought, oh my God, how do you learn this stuff? You know, I was so frightened. And I remember in my hotel room, I broke the script up and I pinned it all around my room. So, you know, with filming, you don't start at the beginning, you know, you start halfway through. Often you're shooting the last scene first.
Radical, truthful and brutal, the series saw DCI Tennyson struggling as a woman in a man's world.
Listen, I like to be called governor or the boss. I don't like ma'am, I'm not the bloody queen, so take your pick.
Yes, ma'am.
For the first time on TV, Prime Suspect revealed the exact details and intricate procedures of a murder investigation.
We were really still at the point where people were saying, well, you're looking for a 6-inch blade knife with a serrated edge, and it went in 6 inches by a left-handed killer.
Oh, yes. This will narrow the field. Look what we've got here. Rare blood group.
Prime Suspect was the first television police drama to use the word DNA. Nobody had ever gone into an autopsy. Nobody had ever seen a police officer examining a body on a gurney in a mortuary. It had never been done.
Excuse me, where's the toilet?
Oh, feeling a bit queasy?
No, but I think he is.
Oh, is that?
More than 17 million viewers tuned in to watch Tennyson nail her man.
How do you plead?
Not guilty, sir.
To this day, people say, did he do it? Of course he did it, you know. But the fact that he was so convincing, not guilty. Doing Prime Suspect taught me about filmmaking, about camera, about crews, about lighting, about directing. It taught me everything that I know to this day about filmmaking. And it was an amazing, amazing experience for me.
And the roll call of Granada's top acting talent goes on and on. Hollywood A-listers Jude Law and Johnny Lee Miller kicked off their careers in Anglo-Aussie soap, Families.
Hey, what happened?
To see the other fella.
No, seriously.
And daily drama Crown Court featured a complete rogues gallery in the dock.
I have certain proof to put...
Fancy why you can't...
You mean you're not certain?
I wouldn't swear to it on oath, sir, no.
I was in Lanigan's Peter when Ager came in and slipped him a cosher of gear, wasn't I? Obvious sus.
These studios have created some incredible names and unmissable programmes.
The suspension.
And now, as we pack away the tops, tassels and toupees, Peter Kay is saying goodbye to Granadaland.
All this left. What size are them? 14s? That's a big-footed.
Over half a century, Granada Studios has entertained the nation, and it all happened under one gigantic roof. But away from the spotlight are many different jobs, none more important than the men and women of the security department.
This is what people really see.
Yeah, it's good-looking fellas like us.
The hub of the entertainment industry.
Yeah, you can say that
There
again.
you go.
How are
Come
you,
in.
mate?
These are monitors.
Yeah, lovely
These
ones as
monitor
well.
the building. Hey up.
Oh, so
What's going on? This flipping heck.
Somebody's gone through a boiler room.
We're not exposed to this. All you see is the glitz and the glamour at the other side of the camera. This is what this is like working on an oil rig.
Yeah.
This is what they're subjected to on an hour-by-hour basis in here. And they let me park my car when I got opera house. Watching pantomime.
Don't tell everyone.
What? But anyway, I got a bottle of Baileys out of that. So...
Touted as the tiniest VIP booth in town, the security lodge has seen them all.
Pop stars to football stars. All here. You know.
Yeah.
They've all been here. I mean, standing here, George Best stood here one day talking to us, just in that
Really?
corner. Yeah. Tony Curtis stood just here talking to us one day.
Yeah.
He'd been here on a promotional tour.
There's probably been every Prime Minister for the last 40 years been here at one time or another. They all like to have a picture of themselves, look at the Rovers, you know.
What about royal visits?
Yeah, Prince Charles. I've met Prince Charles when he's been here, and his lovely wife. She's been here.
Which one?
Diana.
She's not her. I've got her in a cup at home. Oh, no.
Not her.
No.
Not the present one.
Camilla's not made
Camilla.
it. She's not made it to tea towels.
Yeah, she has.
No.
Yeah, Camilla, very nice.
Thank you very much.
Nice to see you, Pete.
Take care.
Yeah.
Bye. See you. All right. Bye-bye. This isn't staged.
No.
Take care. See you. Thanks very much.
See you, Pete.
Bye.
Bye.
Aye. It's kind of the same, isn't it?
Yeah. These studios have played Cupid to undisputed presenting royalty, Richard and Judy. And it was within these very walls that they met over 30 years ago. Working together, they travelled the region, and over outside broadcasts and live bulletins, they fell in love.
That's what it's like to be spat out of the mouth of a 200-foot-long dragon at high speed.
That was the editor's office.
Now they're back on the romantic spot where it all began.
If I'm right. How'd you feel?
Oh, very nostalgic. Very, very nostalgic. Here's the first time we met.
Wow. It's smaller than I remember.
It's smaller than I remember.
It's shorter, isn't it?
Shorter.
But it must be.
Yeah.
It must be, because that sliding window's still there.
And it was just humming. It was full of people.
The desk faced that way, and I was sitting here.
I sat that
and
side.
you sat there. And this was the exact spot that you came up behind me and put your hands on my shoulders. And I turned around, and you said, "I'm your mummy." It was here.
It was a charity marathon that gave Richard and Judy their first break presenting as a couple.
Let's have a look now at how much money you have already given us, please. Let's have a look at the scoreboard.
Long before this morning happened, presenting together was proving tricky.
In 1988 was the first time that Judy and I had been allowed to present together since Granada discovered that we were having an affair. But they thought that two presenters who were that close might be a bit formidable, so they split us up. We got married in 1986. It couldn't have been more kosher. We had children. Still, we weren't allowed to present together. And then for the telethon, they thought it would be a good idea, so they put us back together.
Welcome back to Manchester on this bank holiday Monday. Have you shrunk?
No, I'm just standing in a no. We loved it because we from the
27 hours.
27 hours.
27 hours. So tiring.
Thank you so much. It's been absolutely wonderful. We've had a marvellous time.
But it was Granada's creation of a new and exciting daytime show filmed in nearby Liverpool that was to give them their biggest break.
A very warm good morning to you. Welcome to Liverpool's Albert Dock. My name is Richard Madeley, and this is my wife, Judy Finnegan.
Hello. This morning was the first ever proper daytime magazine programme in this country.
Oh, morning.
This groundbreaking show turned Richard and Judy into national treasures.
Doing telethon led to this morning, and this morning was a break in every possible sense of the word, and it gave us the chance to do other programmes and other projects. It was an extraordinary break.
Entertainment has always been at the very heart of ITV. Their slick, shiny floor shows dominating Saturday nights. But back in the day, entertainment shows were cosy affairs.
Welcome to Spot the Tune, where tonight each of our 4 contestants can win a maximum of £56 plus...
56 quid? These early game shows were the cube of their day. Well, sort of. It was during the 60s that Britain's longest-running quiz show was born. Your starter for 10 is which one?
Big one coming up. Here's your starter for 10.
Here's the first starter for 10. Right, a starter for 10 now, Birmingham.
Of course, University Challenge.
Everything was quite extraordinarily primitive. The scoreboard was like in an amateur cricket match in that there was somebody behind it winding round the numbers as the score went up.
Bonus of 20 coming. What man has been shared by all these women?
The set was awful. It looked like bits of carpet had been nailed to the wall. It looked absolutely terrible.
And here's a starter to set us off on the finals.
But the point was it went out on ITV, and it went out on ITV in prime time at one point. Right, get those fingers on the buzzers. Here's your first starter for 10.
After 25 years on ITV, Challenge took a break, returning to the BBC with the unforgiving Jeremy Paxman. And the show continued to be filmed at Granada.
It's not the... and it's not Shapes either. Aberdeen. You lose 5 points too for that performance. You know, I'm thrilled to be involved in something that does get a really good audience, which I think demonstrates that you don't need to treat people as idiots.
Bad luck. No, bad luck. Very bad luck.
If you do people the courtesy of saying you're quite clever enough to get this, they'll come with you.
So at that point, we'll leave you and be back with you in a moment.
From University Challenge to the University of Life.
Hey, rock on, Tommy, hey!
During the early 70s, Granada's Studio 6 became the Wheel Tappers and Shunters Social Club.
Say hello, a nice big welcome to the Ukrainian Cossack Brotherhood.
Treating the audience to a proper Northern night out.
I mean, that was one of those shows that you stayed up and we watched as a family.
Hey! Give over, will you?
Wheel Tappers and Shunters was a genius show. It was ahead of its time. It was postmodernism before modernism.
The 3 degrees.
Say goodbye. Its unique approach inviting top international acts to share the stage with colourful homegrown talent. Mixing the weird with the wonderful.
Born free, as free as the wind blows.
But it wasn't all blokes, booze and fags. In this working men's club, the ladies were allowed in too.
What Johnny Hamp did really cleverly was to look out in the north for what was making the north tick in entertainment.
We used to get phone calls trying to book a table for Saturday night, you know, because everybody thought that was a real club.
So it was the hottest ticket in town, and if you're too young to remember the 70s, this is pretty much what it looked like.
The closer you get, oh, the better you look, hey, baby.
Of course, yeah, great, it was very successful, which was nice.
In the early 90s, Granada took talent spotting one step further. Where else could you see Robbie Williams, Ethel Merman and Kate Bush all in one show?
Stars and Rise was just, it was 1 in a million. Right, put a frock on, and then all of a sudden you're Madonna overnight. It's fantastic.
It was the first time milkman, postman, girl who worked behind a bar became a star.
That was the glitzy show of a Saturday night. Most fantastic working atmosphere you could possibly have. We just used to laugh the whole time.
And this was where all the magic happened, in Studio 12. Trot on. Look at this. It's huge, isn't it? It's actually much bigger than I remember. Now, isn't that funny?
Ladies and gentlemen, Matthew Kelly.
The stage was here. We had 3 different sets in my time. This would be our mark.
Hello and welcome welcome to Stars in Their Eyes, where today's stars of the charts meet blasts from the past.
I can't tell you how thrilling it was. People would beg to get tickets for it.
Tell us who you're going to be tonight.
Today, Matthew, I'm going to be Tina Turner.
Tina Turner!
Over 16 years, more than 1,000 terrified sound-alikes stepped through the smoky doors, transformed into their singing idols. And when the studio's doors finally close, the thousands of look-alike costumes are headed for the big dressing-up box in the sky.
It's Stars in Their Eyes. Phil Collins, March 05. There's a girl that's been on my mind all the time. Studio. If you sent this to a charity shop, there'd be some flash people, wouldn't there, knocking about. But a shame it's not on anymore. Don't pay the ferryman. Don't even think set price. All round family entertainment. This is what we need in Britain. You can take your Ant and Decks and your Strictly Come Dancings, but you need another Stars in Their Eyes. This is where we're going wrong in this country.
Welcome to the Stars in Their Eyes Winter Live Grand Final 2000!
The live final of Stars in Their Eyes was one of the big showbiz events of the year.
It was a huge event, massive.
864,833!
For one of the first times ever on British television, the audience were given the power to pick up their phones and vote.
The Stars in Their Eyes Live Grand Final winner is Freddie Mercury!
I remember when I worked at Top Rank Bingo, we were doing the national. 5-1, 51, 6 and 7, 67. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, hold on. What's that? Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of Stars in Your Eyes is Mr. Christopher. Everybody clapped. Middle of live bingo session.
There's nobody here. There's nobody here. It's just you and me. It's where I wanna be. But I can't be
Never forget that. That's how important it were.
These studios have produced some of the nation's favourite TV across the decades. And as we bid them a final farewell, Peter Kay takes a trip down memory lane.
Just as a prom and the lorries crash into rovers.
After 57 years, the Granada Studios are finally closing their doors as they move to Media City. For many, one programme sums up Granadaland more than any other. Coronation Street. It's the world's longest running soap, watched by millions of viewers across the globe.
I hate you, you rotten cowie tart!
I didn't do anything.
In an airy little house, there's sadness, there's laughter, ups and downs, isn't there? And I think that's the essence of the street.
And now that iconic street is being rebuilt in Salford, cobble by cobble.
So I was up there, and now I'm here. I've jumped down. Splat. This is Coronation Street. Come up here. We're in Coronation Street. Without a doubt, and not being over-sentimental, the most famous street in the world. This is madness. Now, this never fails to throw me, this. Oh, ho, 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 ho! We're in here. Come on. Look at this, what they've got in their bedroom. A sawmill. And look down here. This back street.
Morning, Mrs. Fairclough.
Morning.
That is what's called shining daylight upon magic.
But behind today's high-tech, multi-million-pound machine lie humble beginnings.
Coronation Street's all right. Mind, there's some you'll have to watch.
I knew that the North was a wonderful background for a programme because the accent makes drama more dramatic and it makes comedy funnier.
Yes.
On the 9th of December 1960, television history was made and broadcast live from Granada Studio 2.
Oh, you're from Esmeralda Street, aren't you? Yes, that's right. Esmeralda Street, eh? Very bay window down there, aren't they? Oh, well, you find it very different up here. There's some very funny people in this street.
I heard the floor manager say, right, settle down, studio, 10 seconds, 9. And I went rigid.
Let's get this straight. Not an hour ago, you asked me for 2 bob for cigarettes.
And you wouldn't give it me, we know.
So you stuck to going in a lady's handbag.
Just listen it. A lady, is that what you crack on you are these days?
I've never been so scared of anything before or since in my life.
Within 6 months, Coronation Street was the most popular programme on British television.
The cops, you...
Every character needed a costume.
Hey, that's the queso apron. I bought that on Salford Market. It looks so strange looking at it now. It's a long time ago.
Little did she know it, but head of wardrobe Edna Walker was about to make TV fashion history.
I'm Mrs. Sharples.
I'm very pleased to meet you. I'm a neighbour.
What was in my mind for Elsie was the blouse I gave her she wore for ages. That was her character. Tight. Well, I did all Annie Walker's, but she walked into wardrobe and she looked at my feet. Oh, she said, those shoes do look comfortable and my feet are hurting. Do you mind if I borrow them? And Annie Walker wore those shoes until she finished in Coronation Street. She wouldn't take them off.
It's all right, kid, come on.
I watched the very first episode and there and then resolved that I had to be in it. I had to be in it.
Rover's Return, Coronation Street.
53 years on and Coronation Street has gone from strength to strength, making the ordinary extraordinary on the world-famous cobbles.
It's weird seeing how your set has grown and how it's changed over the years, and looking back to when it first started, it's like a different programme, completely different programme. It's one of them stories, isn't it, that you can tell the grandkids. Oh yeah, I was in Coronation Street when I was younger.
It'll be a very sad day when we leave here, because this is our home. Certainly the home that I've known for 10 years. And for some of the older cast members, it's been the home for 35 years and beyond.
OK, now, I'm taking you to a little... This is a prop store, Coronation Street prop store. Oh, Patrick. Hello?
Hello?
Oh, hi, Patrick.
Morning.
I'm Peter.
Hi, Peter. I'm Patrick.
Hi. Hi, Patrick. Let's have a look at your wares.
What, this way?
Look at this. Oh, is she in? Shanita, loved in dinner, ladies. Is she in? Sorry, love.
And this one was...
Sacrilegious.
Fred Elliott.
Oh, that's a wide one, isn't it?
That's a big one, that one.
I'm dead. I said dead. Let me out.
Ashley?
Ashley, I'm dead. Lots of signs up here. I feel like Annika Rice on Treasure Hunt. Stop the clock, Kenneth. I've got the clue. Here we go. Always a comedy winner, this.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
These are all models of previous sets that have been built.
For what?
For Coronation Street.
Really?
Yeah.
What was that one?
That one, I don't know about that one.
I was going to say, I don't remember that episode. Fire Brigade's coming. Oh, look at them beauties. Oh, my Lord above. How did she pull Ken in these? Just as in a prom and the lorry's crashed into Rovers.
Tracy!
Yeah, Peter. Can I have your picture took with Jack and Vera?
Jack and Vera. Hey, Vera. Hey, you're not going out, Jack. Come.
Hey, Vera, I'll be outside with my pigeons. Leave me, give me alone. I'm just going to nobble on horses.
You best not spend that housekeeping money.
What are you talking about?
Look at that, eh? What's in them? Your lunch?
Tea bags.
Get it, Patrick, get it! Get it!
Got it.
Get it!
Go on,
Hey,
Pete,
it's
got
a
it,
joke, Grave Ed. Look at that, it's a joke one. Look at this one. No, ladies and gentlemen, you're not looking at Jeff Capes.
What's them behind it, Pete?
That is heavy, actually.
Sorry, cut.
I love to boogie.
In the 1970s, the studios echoed to the sound of hysteria as Granada revolutionised kids' TV. Until now, it had been dominated by puppets and playtime, but it was about to witness a complete wardrobe malfunction. Glam rock had arrived. The 60s had the Beatles, but 1975 had the Bay City Rollers. In a brand new 20-week music extravaganza.
To give them their own series seemed like quite a brave step at the time. But as it went on air and as they rocketed up the charts with every single, they were massive and we just weren't ready for that.
Manchester rocked to the sound of Roller Mania, and no one could hear themselves think.
But right now, it's big gym time.
Okay. Thanks very much, Les. This week, if all the children keep quiet.
Trying to get into the building was a nightmare. Standing outside the main entrance of Granada were all these screaming girls and teenagers, hundreds and hundreds of them out there. You had to battle your way through as they were trying to get a glimpse of a Bay City roller.
And the hysteria continued into the autumn of 1977 with Mark Bolan's psychedelic kids' tea time special.
Ride it on out like a bird in the sky. Waves, ride it on out like you were a bird.
He was really the first glam rock guy. I'd never seen anybody with makeup on and satin trousers. And he was extraordinary.
This is a new group called Generation X. They have a lead singer called Billy Idol, who's supposed to be as pretty as me. We'll see now. Generation X.
He had an energy, a passion. I've worked on many, many series since, but never on one where the star of the show sent me home each evening in his white Rolls Royce. It was incredible.
Mark's show only ran for 6 weekly episodes, but drew the big names to Manchester. The last saw David Bowie and Mark finally duet.
Heroes! Ever.
This is a new song.
1, 2, 3, yeah!
Neither of them knew that this would be Mark's last performance, as tragically, he went to meet his maker only 9 days later.
Thank you for goodbye and all the boys in the band, David, everybody, all the cats, you know they are.
Going on to the spirit in the sky.
This final appearance of Mark was transmitted after his funeral in September 1977. So as the studios that brought us these magical moments prepares to wind down, Peter Kay continues his mission to say goodbye to Granadaland.
Oh, look at the sign.
What the hell were you doing?
Granada Studios has kept millions of viewers glued to their screens. From historic performances to the gritty reality of the Jeremy Kyle Show.
Maybe you should look in the damn mirror for a change.
The studios have been part of the fabric of British life for almost 60 years. Inspired by the likes of Disneyland and Universal, in 1988, Granada put their own viewer attraction on the map. Over 11 years, the studio's tour gave viewers the chance to go behind the scenes and live the Granada dream.
This is what was Granada Studios tour. This was amazing, because this was like the yellow, you know, the New York street, and they had yellow cab taxis. You could see that someone had dreamed up this crackpot idea of it being a day out. And, you know, I mean, people did come, and you could come on the studio tours for a day out, and then there was a guarantee that every day there'd be an appearance by one of the stars of Coronation Street. I'd walk through, probably just coming back from getting a sandwich or something. He used to be on Granada Studios tours. He was called Table Man. He could sit on his table, he'd carry around. 150 it were. Excuse me? This is unbelievable, this. This is a canal that was built in the 1800s. If you turn here, look, across here, come in. And this is it. Come round here, look, come here. David Playwright, when they opened studio tours, wanted to put gondolas down here because it carries on, knock them walls through and have gondolas. But he didn't. I don't know why. Only Granada could turn this into a day out for all the family. And much more.
Over the years, Granada built a world-class reputation for current affairs, and that commitment remains today. But Granada's unparalleled current affairs programme was World in Action, which sought to change the world. And it did. Running weekly for over 30 years, it was the envy of other broadcasters.
Prime Minister, there are millions dying. That's a terrible thing.
I'd like to ask you, how would you prove that you are the parents of your children? What would you do to prove that I haven't done?
For me, in my trade, World in Action was the greatest current affairs programme that has ever been made on television.
520 Grosvenor Square. The riot you will see is the most violent London can remember.
There was a feeling that you were making some of the best television in the world, and it was a privilege to be there.
The riot lasted just over an hour. Police casualties were 117 injured. The demonstrators carried off their wounded uncounted.
Anybody who cared about hard-edged yet compassionate broadcasting wanted to work there. I tried twice to get a job on it and was turned down each time. It was a fantastic show.
World in Action was fearless in its pursuit of a story, often going where other programmes feared to tread.
There's a woman traveling with two men. They opened fire and us, we had to shoot back, you know. I think it's bad to have to kill women and children, but over here it's necessary.
Before he became king of the chat show, Michael Parkinson was on the front line in the name of the news.
We had this extraordinary madman called Tim Hewitt, and he said to me, go to Cyprus. He said, there's a revolution there. So I went to Cyprus, and we filmed there. He said, Parky, he said, there's been a revolution in Zanzibar. He said, I want you to nip down there. I said, nip down there? I said, how far do you think Zanzibar is? He said, I've just looked on the map, it's 2 inches.
World in Action's Michael Parkinson and Christopher Menges were on the island itself, filming the aftermath of revolution.
All things were possible, that was the point.
Life behind the camera was no easier, as George Jesse Turner found out in 1969.
The idea would we would go with some El Fata guerrillas across the River Jordan at night. All of a sudden, somebody must have tripped over a flare, and we hit the deck, and it was like daylight. I shout out to the director, I think I've been hit. And he said, where? And I said, up the arse, which, it's on the tape.
Been hit by something, mate.
What?
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah.
This was on my birthday, the 9th of March, 1969. Not the best birthday present, but it's a great story which I still quite like to relate.
World in Action screened over 1,000 episodes before retiring in 1998. However, one of its programmes spawned an iconic series that is still on air to this day.
World in Action enters the struggling, changing world of the 7-year-old.
7 Up explored the British class system and whether a child's path in life is set from birth.
When I grow up, I want to be an astronaut. But if I can't be an astronaut, I think I'll be a coach driver.
It was supposed to be a one-off documentary, but every 7 years since, the group has reassembled, the show and its subjects recently celebrating their 56th birthday.
There's Nicholas. And Tony. Susie. And Bruce.
I was first executive producer for 7 Up. It was an extraordinary pioneering program, probably one of the greatest programs in television history.
Give me a child until he is 7, and I will give you the man. This has been a glimpse of Britain's future.
After half a century crowning the studios, the iconic red letters were taken down. The Manchester wind and rain had taken its toll, and they haven't been seen since.
Oh, look at the sign. Oh, my Lord, look at this. Oh, it's the actual sign. They've seen some things, these letters. There must be people who thought Grandad had a television station. Grandad's TV? I bet there were some granddads who must have said that over here. That's mine, that. That's your granddad's television station, that. Grandad's TV. Do you think the noses have nicked a letter? Has anybody got a van?
On the 17th of February, University Challenge was the final show to be recorded in Granada's main studio complex.
Did you do it?
Do another one, please.
Come on!
Sorry.
After 57 years, it was the end of an era for a building that has given so much pleasure to so many.
I just want to say one thing before we start. This is the very last show that will be recorded in these studios at all. University Challenge was first recorded here in 1962. This is the very last programme that will be made here.
The building's legacy lives on in the people who've worked here, the audiences who visited, but most importantly, the millions of people who enjoyed its shows.
If I was to break my life and work and career up into sort of big chunks, I would say theatre, Granada and film.
I can't thank Granada enough. It's made me. It was the company that made me.
Granada meant and still means everything to me. Everything.
Good times. I think that's the word. Good times.
It's the best time I ever had in television because we were allowed that wonderful freedom in every single way to do what we wanted to do.
When I look back on it, when I'm long gone, it will be a really proud thing to have been part of, I have to say. Meeting each other sort of put the icing on the cake for us. You know, it all started here.
Yep.
Right, I'll see you, lads. I'm off. Look after yourselves. See you now, Pete. I'll give you 3 rings when I get home.
Talk about a holiday from hell. Miss Marple's trip to the Caribbean descends into a web of deceit and murder. Agatha Christie's Marple tomorrow night at 8. But stay with us here on ITV. The Cold War drama continues with The Americans. That's next.